it for a long time already, many years. So I spend my time with, I'm still attached to the game in that manner. I still read a lot for it, especially good writers of the game from Britain. They are the authorities. And you learn English from them, even after you retire. There's still a lot to learn. In fact, there's time to learn. So there's so much time that you don't know what, you sometimes can be lost for choice. You know, what should you do next? Because there's so many things to do. And there's also art, you know. In that way, I'm quite affiliated with you all along that line. I like art. I like poetry. Without being poetic, I like poetry. And I like the way words can be used to express feelings. And still, there's a gap. You don't really know what the writer's writing about. And I like that kind of gap. I like nature, so I go out for walks. I have a monthly group. There are about 8 of us. We walk all the connectors. I think I will cover most of the connectors in Singapore by now, because most of us are quite old. We have been walking for many years. So we know the island quite well, including the off island like Pulau Ubin. And yeah, I read a bit about nature to understand it as you said. And I write a lot to national parks because when I see something I don't understand in my landscape, I'll write there, and they're excellent. They come back to you quite quickly, always with an answer, never without an answer. so you learn to be educated by them. Oh yeah, I forgot. I have my faith. I should have put that in front of everything else, because that's how I start my morning, with the devotions. And I think ever since I joined the church, that's been my life. It's a big dimension. It's in fact basic to everything I should think of or behave. I should be guided by that, but sometimes, of course, I'm the sinner. I do go astray. But I hope I'm quickly drawn back to my central theme, that's being a follower of Jesus. That's very basic to my living.
Yeah, so you shared about like faith is a central theme of your life and personhood, and then you talk about nature and how you actually enjoy to go on walks with a group of people, and also because we met before and you do have a little bit of similar interests that we share, like watercolors, and you love sports. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. So we can keep this like casual, and I think for this period of time, maybe you could kind of ask me any questions you want in relation to the artwork that I've created from your literary works.
Right. The first question should be, how do I describe this artwork? You don't call it installation art, do you?
I call it installation.
It's actually installation art, huh?
Why I call it installation? Because for me, I work with my hands, and kind of in this artwork, I fix things like plastic materials, metal, strings that are attached to a pot. So there's a lot of attachment, a lot of detachment that the artwork is situated within a space, a frame of sorts. So that's why I call it installation. But I think it could be also open-ended. It could be also a sculptural form. I think it's pretty dependent on how a person would see it. So maybe you would see it in a different way. It's also okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking of installation art because there's a word being used. I mean, there's a genre being used by the media. Until I came to this, then I questioned whether should I call this installation art. But I suppose it's not important how you name it, what you say, the product. And artists and writers didn't meet before the artists went to work. Am I right? I mean, most of us didn't get to meet. So before we knew about it, it was already completed. The work was already completed. So it would be interesting to find out, without meeting the writers, you all could come up with something of your own. Was it Is it what you chose? You prefer not to meet the writers before doing it?
There was a certain beauty of serendipity because the written works were carefully assigned to us by the lovely duo from Artist Caravan. And when I first had your memoir, it really resonated with me, and I think it spoke to me in some way
You
that I
didn't,
felt I
you
could
didn't choose
connect.
it, right? You didn't choose.
No, I did not. It was
It was
given to
assigned
me.
to you. So
I think it chose me.
I wonder how they assign things. All
I
right,
think
all right.
because
Yeah.
we kind of know each other as well. Yeah.
Okay. So they must know something about your profile before assigning a subject,
Yeah.
right? There must be some
It was quite
guideline, huh?
it was quite divine as well. I
Was it?
felt.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like a random pick and
Mm.
choose, but I felt they knew whom the story would fit best with, because in the process of I mean, we are all different artists from various backgrounds,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So allowing the writer's memoir and the artist to kind of so-called cohesively work without prior meeting, there would have to be some form of connection or
Mm.
interest for the artist to kind of delve deeper into the work per se.
Yep.
I think it kind of sums up everything. Yeah.
That's right. Okay. Then your what you did was to read a memoir.
Yes, I did.
Try to understand what the writer is saying.
Like
But mm,
so in my process when I first received the manuscript, it was very interesting. So there were about I think 4 to 5 pages, right? And it's pretty long.
mm,
So
yeah,
when I
okay.
first read it, I had to take some time to kind of um, just read the memoirs as it flows easily and
Mm,
not to kind of
right.
comprehend it. Like in reading, there are different kinds of how we read a text, right? It could be for
Yes.
contextual meaning, for just pleasure reading. So I read it with simplicity, not trying to understand or want to make artwork about it. I just read it as a
Mm,
reader.
the reader.
Yeah. So as I delve deeper into the works, I decided to kind of I reread again and then I see
Mm,
what spoke out to me. So
mm,
very similar to you when you shared about how you are um very someone who is spiritual and someone who needs the faith to keep you alive. For me, how I read your text would be I see the words that speak out to me and then I
mm.
circle it.
Oh,
So like
okay.
when you read the Bible, right, you see things that
Yeah.
speak out to you, right? So I
Yeah,
think
sure.
naturally it was very natural for me to do that. And so
Mm,
I circled up words like maybe a boat or a sail or anchor
mm,
or
mm,
um or form some kind of connection to what these words meant to me. And so I did my rough sketches. And then after steaming through the words, I allowed the words to inspire me in my own journey. And so it's like a process. And then from there, I drew connections from your text. Like if I recall, there was a text about how you used to spend time with your dad on the beach, and it was a beautiful time because um, it triggered the memory when my dad also shared a similar memory with his father,
oh,
and
okay.
that was the personal connection I felt that was very very special. Because I haven't met you before, and yet your words spoke out to me in a way that I could connect and relate with, and that was very beautiful. And so I was very inspired and moved, I would say, to just make drawings.
Mm, okay.
And actually, I will be very honest with you. Like when I first got this project, I was like a little bit worried if I could draw or not because I mean I was going through my own period of challenge where I felt that I couldn't draw. And
Oh,
so
okay.
when I read your text, I was very moved because I felt I was led by the spirit to draw certain images, and
Mm,
I just let go. I
mm,
surrender, and I was in a moment. And also at that point of time, I wanted to learn watercolors.
Oh,
That's
okay.
how I actually created 4 drawings. And then from the drawings, I moved on to think about how can I construct it into the art piece. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That was just a breakdown of sequences and process that I had in developing the artwork. Yeah.
Based on this memo, huh? Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
actually, it's about school, primary school life. So something you can't philosophize more about it. It's about primary school. So the guy that was a kid, he wouldn't have thought very much, but to think in simple terms. I think that helped. It's not sophisticated. It's just how a child thought. And then later, how an adult looking back would think. He would put more into it than the child could. The child had no complex feelings about the whole place. It's the old man, who came later and make it meaningful, make the child so meaningful. The child himself ran through those years without thinking very much about it. It was just a present. But when you look back, when the old man looks back, he saw so much more meanings than the child could. And therefore came this memo. The child couldn't have written a memo. The old man could, because the old man saw more into the child's story, the boy's story. Yeah. That's how it was. That's how the memo worked out. And like I say, I would have wanted to write more, but it would have been quite heavy to handle. I wanted to write about the church. This road called Pasir Panjang Road is full of memories. But for the purpose of the project, it was too difficult to handle because it involves a lot of people's feelings, not only mine, but other people's feelings. So I chose not to do that. But the school life story was less contentious because most of the people, I can't get in touch with these people, and they probably won't read about this memo. So I was in a safe zone. It was my own zone. I didn't get anybody else to contend with. Yeah, so it was a way of looking at my own life, not so much other people's life. But yet, when I finished everything, the story, I realized that without these people, the story has no meaning. It cannot be about myself. I mean, it must be related to these people. These people who have to remain anonymous, and I hope they don't find out who they are, because it's going to be awkward, very awkward. Yeah. So there you are. My teacher, of course, left this world, so she can't scold me for writing this. But it was she who brought meaning to the whole thing. And the school children also, my classmates brought meaning to the all those years in school. I think they are the ones who feature. I don't really feature. Notice I don't really get into the story so much as they. They are the ones who are the actors, and they brought meaning to that stage. Yeah. That's what it's all about. And I think the other problem was words. Using words is difficult. I thought if you had a drawing, a painting of a scenario, it may seem more illustrative than the words can be. But then again, you can't see behind the painting, just like you can't see behind selected words. You can't, when you paint, you can't tell how the person being featured is thinking. You can show his facial expression, but not the way he's thinking. Similarly with words, you can write, but there's a limitation to words. Sometimes you can't get the vocabulary right. You can't get the right word. So therefore, you're short of describing everything you want to describe in your mind, because you can't describe your mind's situation. You can only put that into words. And it's a foreign language. English is a foreign language to us, and therefore, words can have their limitation in terms of expressing what you want to mean, how you want to feel. You know? Okay, I think that's what I want to say. I couldn't find the words to say more. Actually.
It's okay. Then I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you were in the safe comfort place. But if I pose a question to you, there's another opportunity for you to go deeper or to kind of uncover the stories or areas of your life where you really feel uncomfortable to do so. Like you mentioned about the church, mentioned about your classmates and your teacher. Would you give yourself a chance to write a second memoir or maybe part two of what you've written?
Part two won't be part two of the school I wrote about would be ideally talking to the people whom I was writing about, talking to them. But I can't get two of them. I can't get four of them, you know, in that group because they've gone already. They've left the surface of this earth. There's one person I know there, but I can't ask her about her divorce, you know, right? It's very awkward. I can't talk to her about her divorce. And yet she's within reach. I could easily get her, but I can't get her to talk about it. That will be part two, you know, because I like to find out why did it happen? Why did this happen to you? But they're so sensitive. I don't think I have the courage to do that. She might slap me for that. I don't know. I couldn't. Yeah, that will be part two. That will be part two. The people around, people behind the stories. But so part two will be about what can they remember about those years? You know, this is only my own memory. What about they? Did they look at those years differently? Did they share the same feelings? That'll be interesting for me. I mean, personally, but I can't get them. I mean, Singapore's so small, but so big, so dense. Even the people are dense themselves, especially at this age, you know, because I got to remember they're all over 70 years old. They may not remember things I remember. They may not even remember me. That's the most humbling part of a story, of a memo. You may write about it, but they may not remember you. They may not, even in their memories of this place, they may not know that you existed. I got some friends who told me that I was such a silent presence in their classes that they forgot. Did I come to school yesterday? I've been told this, you know. So which meant that I was very shadowy or I blended with the background. Nobody would notice that distinctively whether I was around. That is humbling. They don't remember you. They don't remember that you were there yesterday. And that alone, were you there 40 years ago, 4 decades ago, or 5 decades ago? Yeah, so whilst we think that sometimes we think a little bit highly of ourselves, we come back to this level. Yeah, you're actually very ordinary. You may not be remembered. That's how I think about myself. So you can't be too proud of yourself. Because only you know yourself. Others may not know you. They may not remember you, like I said, in the context of my memoir.
I really like how you said about being remembered, and when I draw the comparison to the title of your memoir is I Remember.
Yeah.
And I love.
I remember because it is about my memory, and I pass the school now. You know, I do pass it quite often. It's still standing. The building is still standing. It's going to be demolished, I believe, when the southern coastal line gets developed. And very soon, I think it may not be there. And I wonder when I pass it and remember those days, I wonder how many people remember. how many of my friends remember? That's how I came to the conclusion at the end that it's only temporarily here, and when it's gone, will people remember the place? There is something that runs in the windmills of my mind. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I think I will start to share or share with you some of like the sketches I've done as well.
Yes, yes, of course.
Since you've asked me so
Yeah.
much, it's so
Yeah.
and you've also shared
The
your
process,
stories.
yeah. Your
Yeah.
process, how you came to
Yeah.
this product, no?
So
Yeah.
so these are the drawings I've actually did from the memoirs have read from yours.
The chronology is start at the top left hand.
Yeah, it goes in like a clockwise-ish version.
Clockwise, okay, yeah, all right.
So I know that top left, and then okay, so the top left, and then followed by the right, and then it goes downwards, and then it goes to the right. Yeah, it's like a Z.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, got it. So what happens at the top left hand corner? What is that about?
Yes. So at the top left, right, when I was reading, right, I realized there's a lot of serendipity. There's a lot of also emotions that were of course not articulated, but I could feel it when I was then I realized that these are like creating waves of some sort, and there I draw a mountain, you notice like there's mountain. And do you spot a Chinese character? Mountain, right? It also looks like the Chinese character Ren. So Ren is like human.
Okay, yeah.
So that was it just came out. And then I drew a mirror-like reflection. So like in life there's always parallels. And sometimes we reflect ourselves to another, and others actually reflect back to who we are. We discover more of who you are through others, and more about ourselves as well.
Yes.
And yeah, this is what and even though that there are so much mixed emotions, I felt it was like the wind. So there's a lot of waves, like turbulent emotions, but yet somehow you still stood strong. That's why I think the mountain that was marked in the Chinese character Ren, right, it stands out in stark contrast to the rest of the colors. Like emotions are fluid, they come and go, but what stands true is still the human.
It's you,
you
as a person, huh?
You also. And
you.
then both. And then as you see in this area in the that branch out to like it's sort of like a flowy tree. And I think there's always peace that comes even in the things that are troubling us. And I kind of see that mountains are like obstacles in life that make us who we are, that produces character. Therefore, the word run became the central theme and focus. Yeah. And then I drew a little boat as well because I felt in your story.
I saw the boat, yeah.
It's always a journey. It's like I'm traveling through this place, then I'm going to next place, but even though rain or shine, I think that's why I draw the moon, right? Time passes, but you still remain the same, which is good. Like you did not waver. So that was what I got from it. So from the top left, right, from the Ren, a human character, it top left, then at the bottom of it, side, you kind of see that human character Ren.
I can see Ren there, the character. And the reverse Ren, the reflection, right?
Yeah.
I can see
and
that.
It continues into the boat where a hand is holding the boat actually.
Correct.
And on the hand, I would think that it's the palm of the father, maybe. I don't know. It just came about subconsciously. I didn't really plan it. And I think if you see closer, right, you see like the pillow, and there's there's a lot of dreams. Like pillow is for refreshment, for comfort.
Right.
So that was
there's a crescent over there. Is that the moon?
Yes.
It's a
You're
moon.
talking about this one, right? The first.
Yeah. Correct. There's a moon.
So
yeah.
So I'll continue to the right hand side at the top right. drawing.
Yeah.
As you can see, it progresses from the nighttime, right? The crescent, it continues with this
The
boat.
morning.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you see, in contrast, the small boat and then the larger one.
Yes.
The larger one is more a lot of a huge part of the life that I felt I received from the memoirs you've written. And this was the story of where there's a lot of I think intertwining of my memories that my dad shared with me,
Okay.
and also your story. So why there's a bicycle wheel, right? You asked, which is a very good question.
Yeah.
So the wheels was because my dad used to be a kampong boy, and
Okay.
he is so playful that he always get injured. So
All
he
right.
tend to do rollerblading. I don't know what skating on the left hand side, and then on the right he will try to ride a bicycle.
Oh, okay. Do you remember which? Do you remember which kampong it was?
I have to ask him. I don't remember exactly.
You don't remember
Yeah.
I don't remember it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, Jalan Kayu or something. He
All right.
mentioned that. Yeah. And so that's why I drew something of my memory and I wanted to share it. Also as when the drawing it came out, it just like oh okay. And there's like anchor also on the boat to keep it kind of still. Yeah. So there's a lot of grass patches,
Yeah.
sand.
I like
Sand,
I like it. Yeah. I like the solitude of this place. There's no human being involved.
Actually got the tiny man and little man.
Okay, but it's too far away from me. Also, there's somebody there. Yeah.
Yeah, because in your story you shared about how you spend time with your dad, right, on the beach. So actually, this boat is like a metaphor of life that it traverses time and space.
Yes.
Yeah.
Across generations as well.
Actually, when you think about it logically, it doesn't make sense because like why would the boat be on mid-air and then it's like on the ground? So
it's in a dream, is it? Yeah. It's in a dream.
I think that this ship is grounded, it really came to a stop and it's actually it's quite stable.
Or the tide has gone up. It's waiting for a high tide.
maybe I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
And then if I continue with the last very distinctive drawing that I think was very biblical as well. Because I think in one of your ending quotes of your memoir written in Psalm 103, and as the flowers and grasses fade, so also our life passes, meaning that life is very transient. And you know how God clothes the flowers, like he also creates wind for the grasses that nothing lasts forever. And I really like that and how you ended it. So as a whole, I see it as a life story that we actually share this connection, and there's a certain affinity that I shared with you in my own story to how to came about with the eventual artwork.
Right.
And so I will begin to share with you. Give me a moment.
Okay.
Yeah. This one is quite crazy, I would say. Because imagine, right, translating this drawings into a sculpture. Think about that.
Yes.
So I was big jump. I had some difficulty, but then I want to share this with you because I think it's quite so you can see this is quite a crazy process of
no, but it is your process, is it? It's your own path.
Yeah. So
nobody else would have done this.
So I think as how you've also broken down parts of your memories to written works, I just wanted to share this with you, like honestly, how I came about to constructing what I did. Yeah,
that's a journey by itself, huh?
And also there's a lot of change that came through as well. So let me just share a few I
Sure,
think you've seen
yeah.
my work, right?
Yes, I
But I'll
have.
still share for all.
Yeah.
So this is the boat.
Mm, right.
And when you mentioned about shadows earlier, I find it quite interesting.
Mm,
Like there's a lot of parallels.
yeah,
Um,
correct. Reflections, huh?
how you felt seen but not
Yeah.
noticed,
Yeah.
or you were present but you felt like you were casted as a shadow where people may
Mm,
walk past and may not notice. So
mm.
it was quite interesting. I just picked up from you earlier.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
Well, again, another reflection.
Yeah, I think there's so much from your stories that
Yeah. We didn't plan this, but it came. We are packaged by like this,
and
and we're trying to understand ourselves.
this was one of the um, parts where I actually drew out, and it became something that like I translate from paper to this book.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
and I wanted
Yeah.
to play with shadows lah,
Mm,
to reveal that sense of serendipity.
true. In fact, without shadows, we lose our form.
Wow,
In
without
art,
shadows,
yeah,
that's true.
because in
That's
art
so
you need
profound.
shadows, you need shadows to create an image. Without shadows, you can't create an image.
And this was a book.
What do a watercolor. You need shadows to enhance an item. Without the shadows, it's very lifeless. It blends. It's no form at all. Shadows are there to form us,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
therefore, to have shadows, you need light. They all come together.
yeah.
Mm.
It's very interesting. I want to ask you another question though.
Mm.
Like it may be a bit off course, but like
Okay.
how how do you see shadows and light in the interplay of your story writing? Is there that form, or it was more of a
No, I don't think I could do that so well. I could do a painting. In a painting, I need shadows to bring out certain images.
yeah?
Without shadows, I can't form an image. And a shadow doesn't mean a distinctively dark shadow. It can be a shade. It can be a tone. A tone is also a shadow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the tones come from light, and away from the light, you form shadows and tones. Tones
Wow, so
meaning,
cool.
yeah, that. I mean, that's what art is all about. I mean, that's my definition of how we do a painting. If I had a painting without shadows, it would be lifeless, formless. And then I need lines. If I didn't have shadows, I would need lines. You think about your watercolor painting. If you didn't have shadows, you need a line to delineate the form. And sometimes for certain kind of watercolor, you shouldn't have lines then. You can have line only for your pencil draft. After pencil draft and you want to add color, your lines shouldn't be noticeable. It should be painted away. Painted away by the form of a shadow or tone or shade.
Oh,
That's art already. That's already art, not writing.
interesting. Yeah, yeah, and I think just to share a little bit more as well. As we were deinstalling our piece, we had to tear down our works, right?
Yeah.
And because this one was it was just the artwork was on a wooden board, right? So I
Yes.
could carry the board.
Yes.
And it was very interesting as I carried this board around and people just like looked at it. It's like they were so amazed, like, wow. Not just like to me it's normal because you know
Yeah.
I've seen it many times, but to see
Yeah.
their reaction is like they say like, wow, honey. Then they're like just look at
Mm.
it. I think because they have not seen plastic or the color green when the sunlight hits it is very interesting.
Right.
I was very amazed by their reactions and I felt very affirmed that you know this artwork also speak to them as a form of beauty. Even though they may not understand the initial intention, but just looking at it, they're like, wow. And then the little kid will be like, what is this? Very nice.
Then they try to interpret it, is it? They try to make meaning out of your construction.
And that's the beauty of art, which you also mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna share the final look of how the artwork is for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there were minor adjustments
Yeah.
made to it also. I encountered slight small difficulties with the help of media as well. Like my light source wasn't there.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
artist Karen, like when they saw it, it's like I was struggling, how can I get the light? And initially my light source was just a very small like
But
click on button,
yeah,
and
correct.
then it was not strong.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh no, light is such an important part to create shadows. So I was very thankful that I just got a lamp and like, okay, let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, the light was important to give you
Yeah, it was so important.
to give you the tone, the atmosphere. You need some light. Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Without it, it changes the whole dimension of
correct.
it. Yeah.
Understand.
Okay, so now it's my turn to ask you some questions.
Yeah.
But I will begin to stop sharing first. And then I would do a small introduction. So I'm Amelia and I am artist. Currently I do movement and a little bit of painting. I love sound, videography, and photography as well. And I hope to impart and share that with current and future generations over the course of my life. Yes.
Yeah, that's you. That's a mission. A kind of life's mission, no? At this stage. Yeah.
So I want to ask you, Hock Yew, before in your whole writing process, right? As you mentioned that this Batu Belaya was something that was very reminiscent in your childhood. Were there a lot of research that you have to do in terms of getting your stories, your own memories, in continuation with the actual physical place? Like, do you have to do any physical site visit of that sort?
No, not really. I went back to the site, but of course the soul of that place is gone. So you only have the structure. Still, the structure didn't help very much, but it is all from your mind, from your own memories. And I remember a lot of unimportant things in life, and one of them is the childhood days. They shouldn't mean anything to anybody else, but it brought meaning to me because I think my character was formed at that time. You know, love for school days. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Love for school days, and actually they came from not just the lessons. The lessons were simple at that time, primary school, but they came from the people around me. And the people make me enjoy school life, cherish and remember school life. It's the people. The people meaning key ones like the teacher, Miss Lee, and also the classmates. And I often still think about them. I don't know where they are. I don't know where most of them are, but you still don't forget them. You don't know how important they are to your memories, but you still remember them. And yeah, again, I come back to the point that if I had enjoyed school life then, it was because of the people. But mind you, the lessons are important. I still remember some poems from those days, some books from those days. And you don't forget them because I think they meant something to you at that time as a boy. And I'm glad I carried that love for literature. It was the beginning of love for literature. I carried them on until today. I still love literature. And I think my foundations were laid there when literature was being taught. And a bit of art. I learned art during those days when there was no formal art lessons. It's just that if you showed enough, I must say talent, but interest in art, the teacher will know. And that has remained. The teacher encouraged me in art, and that encouraged me that continued my interest into secondary school days, and even into adulthood and old age. Right now, I still haven't left art. It's there all the time. Art and writing. I would say more reading than writing because I don't claim to be a sustained writer, but I have a love for words. And if they are poetic, then it's even farther away. I can't get there. But if it's prose, there's a likelihood you can learn how to write a style. You can learn the style. But poetry is a bit distant. Sometimes it's got to be distant to have an enchantment. Then you appreciate it better. Something close, you might see. You might not see it so clearly. In fact, poetry can be seen from afar. You can't see it close up. Then you might see ugliness maybe. But from a distance, they all look beautiful. How words are being placed. And you wonder how the writers could come up with this expression. And you can't. You didn't think about it, but the writer could, the poet could. And there's a magic of poetry and literature. It's something you can't get there. That's why you admire it. If you got there, you probably would take for granted. It's too close to you, you take for granted. You got to have a distance. According to my experience, somebody else will tell you differently. A poet will tell you differently. But I'm not a poet. Sometimes I will say I'm not an artist either. But that's why you're trying to get there. You haven't got there. And the beauty is in the chase. It's in going for it and not finding out about it. We can say it's a journey, it's a voyage. But you haven't got there, and that's why it's beautiful. Yeah. Yes.
I like how you shared about that. There's a lot of humbleness you mentioned about not claiming titles, but allowing the mystery to unfold over time. And that allows you to have a sense of mission or purpose in continuing to where it leads you, because ultimately you do not yet know where it is leading you, but you allow yourself to be led in some form or another.
Correct.
Cool. Are there, because you've attended Verena T's workshop in writing your memoir, is there any takeaways or things that you would share as a writer that you feel was quite crucial to the process of your memoir?
I think a feeling for life. This feeling for life, you must have it. Otherwise, you can't write about life, because a memoir is all about life. If you have no feeling, if you're indifferent, if you're indifferent about life, then you got nothing to write about. I think this interest in life and people. Sometimes you wonder how they think. Sometimes you go in a bus, and you see people in front of you sitting. You wonder about each of them individually. What are they thinking wrong? Where are they going? What's today's journey like for them? Are they thinking about the past, or are they only thinking about the present? What affects them, the past or the present? Sometimes the bus journey is so brief, but in this short spell, you look at each individual's face and try to interpret. Of course, you don't have the answers. They are also elusive. You can't have the answer, but it makes you think about people. And if you think that you're anything special, perhaps you're not. Maybe the people in front of you are special. It's just that you don't know. You don't know the stories, but they have the stories to tell. And I think in writing, if ever we can share about writing, it's about we write to share our lives. If nobody's interested, then of course it's another story. But if nobody's interested, at least you've done something about yourself. You justify yourself, and you tell a story. And life is a story. At the end of it, it could be a long story, many decades. It could be a short story. It could be tragic. It could be victorious. But it's all about the uniqueness of life. Every life is so unique. If you think about you and your friend, your colleagues, sure you are different in so many ways. You're unique. And in a way, you're special. I think we are special unto ourselves. And if you believe in the Lord, I think He put us here for a purpose. It takes a lifetime sometimes to know the purpose. Some people discover early. Some people take a lifetime. But whatever it is, there is a purpose in life. That is the story of life. The purpose in itself. No? Yeah.
So on that note, right, purpose, will you keep writing stories?
I think I shall, but look, wait a minute. I shouldn't say I shall because it depends on where we go from here. Because I will still have an interest in wanting to write, but I think I'll still be frustrated by a choice of words. I find I'm very conscious that if I can't find the right words, I can't tell the story adequately. That's a challenge, and it's a constant challenge because in our mind, what travels in our mind are thoughts, and the thoughts are actually words, and they come out. If you have to translate them or transfer them into a paper, it has to be words. You've got no other medium, is it? And that's a challenge, finding the right words to tell our stories. So I will try to, I try to have the interest in writing, not for the public mind, maybe for myself. I think I owe it to myself to know myself. Yeah, not to the public. They may not be interested because finally, if you're an ordinary, unknown, obscure person, then probably nobody wants to read about you. But you can read about yourself.
I think your story is equally important as well. Yeah, and like I really picked up from what you said earlier. We write to tell our stories.
Ourselves.
So like, is there any like particular movie that you could relate with in their story? Like certain. Do you have any particular movie that interests you in terms of storytelling that you could relate with? Like example,
Searching for an example. Yeah.
Like recently, like I rewatched The Lord of the Rings, and just to share a little bit like the backstory about how the writer for The Lord of the Rings and for Tolkien, Tolkein, these two writers actually are very close friends. And how the story produced for The Lord of the Rings was this writer's friendship with another writer. And then he also shared Christian aspects of his life through the tales of the Little Hobbits. So it's quite cool because you talk about your faith as well, and you shared a lot of personal challenges at this point where you're unable to reconnect, or maybe, lack of a better word, maybe rather be safe and not to kind of affect another's emotions because you do not know the situation that well, and it may like open some doors, it may open up some ways that may not be pleasant lah. Because maybe there's some fear or uncertainty of some sorts. So maybe you could actually write something in that form. I don't know, like characters, and you don't have to name specific names, but you could tell a tale of your own.
Yeah.
That's why I asked the question.
No, I don't. Really, honestly, I don't have. I don't check.
Okay.
Yeah, they're quite. You can learn about them, but I can't relate anyway.
It's okay.
No. So maybe I wasn't prepared for that question. But even if I had, I would find it quite difficult. They're quite distant from me. Yeah. So the answer is no.
Would you? No, in that case, doesn't have to be like a physical form, but how would you draw yourself? It could be anything. Yeah, as a form of character.
I wonder. I will
Yeah.
see myself as a pilgrim, a traveler,
Pilgrim.
a traveler.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
a traveler. Probably no destination. Just admire the environment, appreciate it, and try to describe it. And describe means either writing or sketching it. You know, that's how I think I would be a pilgrim, a traveler without destination. It's like just spending your years here, and you know that it's very brief. So you want to appreciate everything that you can, everything that goes around you.
Okay.
Otherwise, I've got no defined form for myself. Yeah. I thought I wanted to say that I would be part of nature, but that's quite difficult. You don't know which aspect of nature. Yeah, the tree, the running brook. But nature to me is all of this. I can't put a finger on one aspect. It's all of this. Yeah, I thought it's a sunshine, but I like the rain. I like to walk in the rain. So if I were a pilgrim, I think a pilgrim walking in the drizzle. Yeah, that's how I would paint myself. I would sketch myself. I like the rain. It has a kind of melancholy. Life shouldn't be all about shouldn't be a melancholic only, but I think it's poetic. Rain is poetic, more poetic than sunshine. Sunshine is all about things going right, everything going right and bright. But rain tells you so many things. Yeah.
I kind of see that without the rain, I wouldn't know how to
The
appreciate
wind,
the
yeah,
sunshine as well.
yes, the wind.
Yeah, without the rain, I
Yeah,
wouldn't know
yeah,
how to appreciate
correct.
the sunshine as well. So we need like a balance of
Yeah,
both.
finally it's about balance,
And
huh? Yeah, you're right.
yeah. And I was really reminded by the scene from it's another
Oh,
movie.
another one.
Yes, I watch a lot of movies. The Bruce. This one is very cool. You should watch it. It's called The Bruce Almighty. Everyone has different takes to how they see it, but I think if you watch it from the lens of God, it's very cool. Should check it out. Yeah. Bruce Almighty. Yeah, and I think
Bruce Almighty,
before
yeah,
we
yeah. I heard of it. I heard of it.
before we end off our session, I'd like to ask you one last question.
Sure.
If there's anything you'd like to say for any aspiring writers slash artists slash creators slash what do you call that, poetry writer, I don't know, or maybe even a pilgrim on a journey. What are some words that you like to
I
impart
would
and
say
share
to
with
be
us?
true to yourself, be yourself. There's so many people to emulate, so many figures to emulate, but finally you come home to yourself. Be true to yourself, and you'll find your way, whether it's in art or in painting or in writing, whether prose or poetry. You'll still be about yourself. Be faithful to yourself. Okay, that's what I could say.
Thank you
I'm
so
nobody.
much.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
With that, we end our session. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Thanks for
Thank
tuning
you.
in.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
a
you so
lot.
much. Very grateful for the sharing.
Thank you.
Really beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's about ourselves. Huh?
Yeah.
We sometimes are strangers to ourselves.
Yeah, a lot of wisdom.
Yeah,
A lot of wisdom
okay.
and a lot of
Thanks
profound
for having me.
visual languages. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Hock Yew. Yeah. Thank you, Amelia. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
the
We'll
best.
see you all soon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same to
Okay.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah. Thank
All
you.
the best. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.